Every day, more and more of us are getting vaccinated. It's one of the biggest peacetime efforts in history. And it's working. In Israel, the number of symptomatic cases in vaccinated people has fallen 94%. For the first time since March of 2020, the USA has less than 300 deaths per day. Countries around the world are reopening. It's a global challenge. But each of us has a role to play. So once you're vaccinated, are you safe? And what should you be able to do? To help explain the effectiveness of vaccines, let's talk about baseball.
That's a rocket. Giddy up, baby. Giddy up. Gone. We got a ball game.
In May, one player and 8 other staff from the New York Yankees all tested positive for COVID-19, despite everyone on the team being fully vaccinated. That's right, they were vaccinated and 9 people still got the virus. The outbreak is thought to have started with the third base coach Phil Nevin. It's possible that his vaccine failed. He became mildly ill. 7 of the cases were other coaches or team officials. And then there was Gleyber Torres, the shortstop.
What a play by Gleyber Torres.
Of those cases, 7 showed no symptoms at all. The last case had only mild symptoms. But the fact that 9 people out of 60 caught the disease in the first place still seems pretty high. That's 15% of the team. Now, let's rewind a year to a time before most people in the US were vaccinated.
There are serious questions about whether Major League Baseball can go on.
In 2020, there were similar outbreaks in 2 other American baseball teams. In July, 18 players and 2 coaches from the Miami Marlins tested positive.
The baseball season possibly on the brink.
Soon after that, the St. Louis Cardinals had an outbreak of their own with 10 players and 2 staff. That's about 30 to 40% of those teams. Now, if the Yankees had the same rate of transmission, it wouldn't have been just 9 cases, it would have been 24. And that suggests vaccines are cutting the risk of transmission by half. That figure has been backed up by studies from the UK and Israel. There's similar data here in Australia too. Of the 40 people who attended a party at Hoxton Park during Sydney's outbreak, 7 people who'd been vaccinated never got sick. The rest had not been vaccinated. 30 caught the disease, only 3 escaped. Now, an important point for the Astra-Zeneca, Pfizer and eventually Moderna vaccines used in Australia. You're only considered fully vaccinated after you've had both doses, plus an extra 2 weeks after your second dose to be fully immune for the vaccine to really kick in. If you've had both doses, waited for 2 weeks and then still get the virus, you're what's called a breakthrough case. Breakthrough cases are expected because vaccines are never 100% foolproof. It's rare, but if a vaccine is mishandled, it could fail. Maybe the vials aren't kept at the required temperature, the vaccine is administered in the wrong part of your arm, or you don't get a full dose. With every vaccine, there is a small subset of people who don't develop a robust immune response. It could be the result of other medications that weaken the immune system, such as chemotherapy for cancer or genetic differences. And then there are new variants. Early data indicates the current COVID-19 vaccines are working against the known coronavirus variants, even Delta. But it's possible that a new variant could, in the future, beat some of the vaccines. There are also different levels of immunity with all vaccines: effective immunity and sterilising immunity. Sterilising immunity is the gold standard, and it's very difficult to achieve. This is when the vaccine acts so quickly that the virus particles are neutralised the moment they enter our bodies. The measles vaccine does this, and so does the hepatitis vaccine. But most vaccines only achieve effective immunity. In these cases, the virus can get into our systems and enter our cells and even start to replicate. But that's when the antibodies generated by the vaccines get to work. And it shouldn't take long for them to overwhelm the virus, stopping it in its tracks and preventing the virus from becoming an infection. That's how the flu vaccines work. What it means is that you'll end up with a milder case, or might even have no symptoms at all. And that's what happened with the New York Yankees.
Yankees win!
In the US, the CDC has so little concern about these cases, they aren't even counting them anymore. Vaccinated Americans can now gather in groups without a mask, and they're considered safe, even though there are still thousands of cases every day. Most importantly, effective immunity means that even if you are a breakthrough case, it shouldn't cause hospitalisation or death. Now, before you run out and declare freedom, there is a word of caution. Israel, often highlighted as the world leader in vaccination, has now inoculated 60% of its population. But as restrictions have eased and the Delta variant has spread, Israel has discovered that the effectiveness of the Pfizer vaccine has dropped from 90% to 60%. Pfizer has confirmed they've seen the same reduction in their own studies, and in response is now planning a third shot of its vaccine. The vaccine booster will also work a little differently. Instead of just attacking the particular part of the spike that the virus uses to gain entry to our cells, the new booster will target the entire spike. In the UK, everything is reopening. Wimbledon was played in front of a maskless crowd. So too was the Euro 2020 final at Wembley. Pubs, restaurants and shops have reopened with few restrictions in place.
If we don't go ahead now, when will we be able to return to normal?
Driven by the spread of the Delta virus, cases in the UK have actually been increasing, and they've been increasing sharply. However, authorities there are not that worried. Contact tracing has been done away with, and reports of daily case numbers are a thing of the past.
I want to stress that this pandemic is far from over.
Between February and June, the UK recorded 92,029 cases of the Delta strain. Of those, 58% were unvaccinated, 34% had one shot, 8% were fully vaccinated. Breakthrough cases. There were 117 deaths. 50 of those had been given 2 full doses of their vaccine. No one under 50 died. The overall death rate was 0.13%. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, there will be deaths from COVID, even among vaccinated people. It's the sad reality of most disease.
This isn't, a mild infection. It's still important that we look at vaccination, not just about controlling the virus, but about protecting ourselves individually from the serious impact of infections.
Just as with the flu shot, getting a booster injection for COVID may be required every year. It'll keep antibody levels high and could be adjusted to deal with new variants. It is a balance of risk, but here's where it's dangerous for Australia right now, because not enough of us are vaccinated yet. If vaccinated asymptomatic people are walking around with the virus, even though they aren't sick, they still can infect those around them. Until we reach those magic numbers of herd immunity, somewhere between 60 and 80%, it isn't safe to do what Israel, the UK or the USA have done. So the answer is yes. Once you're vaccinated, you are largely safe, but not everyone around you is. Yet.